some say I'm the best archer in the world.
Welcome, everybody, to the Maganda Forever podcast. My name is Vince.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Monica.
And we are going to be talking about episodes 1 and 2 of Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Great start so far.
Yeah, pretty sick. Pretty sick.
I like Clint's overall, I'm done with this. Like, I'm just over it.
Yeah, that's consistent kind of to his character too. Like he's always been kind of like, he's cool with kind of being in the background,
Yeah.
like with everything with Nick Fury too. Like he set that up where like he doesn't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mara and I had this whole conversation where it's like, man, you forget how skilled him and Nat are, that like they just always flew under the radar. But when it like, and we'll get into this too, but flashbacks of like, oh yeah, all the fighting in Avengers 1 and like the whole thing with the Chitauri and stuff. I was like, no, he's a really skilled fighter, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's why I really like street level stories, because they give the street level characters room to shine.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
like, I mean, yeah, Hawkeye and Black Widow and Captain America to an extent didn't really shine in Marvel's Avengers because it was like against aliens, but like in their own
Yeah.
movie, that's where they really shine, especially in Captain
True.
America's movies. And I'm feeling like in this series, I'm really gonna end up liking Hawkeye at the end. I already
so
like. I
too.
think he's hella dope. Like when he caught that Molotov cocktail, I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit.
Dude, yeah. And it just shows like how important they are too, like to a team of all these gods and people with superhuman abilities and stuff. Like just the average kind of like average, like person, they can still make an impact on a team.
Mhm.
And an impact on just regular people, because even like he gets recognized occasionally, but like even when he's out with his family, it's like, oh no, there's no need to do that. He was like, no, you saved our city. Like he's like not
Yeah.
used to that kind of level of recognition, because him and Nat, they're just like agents. They've always worked like government jobs and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Episode 1 is called Never Meet Your Heroes. I forgot what episode two was titled.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Tell me why it took me hella long to register that, because like I just in the beginning it had that whole 2012 and it was
Yeah.
closing in on the city, and I was like, oh okay, so this is the alien invasion. It's Kate Bishop, and I was like, for some reason I zoned out. I was like, okay, so what happens? Oh, that's right, the alien invasion. Like I completely forgot. Like, well, I wasn't expecting the invasion to touch their part of it. I thought maybe like they would get wind of it and maybe that's how she would be introduced to it. But the way they did it was pretty.
It was dope.
Yeah,
I liked it. Just a point of view.
I'm not used to them putting the actual like time, like the year up. So I always like think of their timeline in moments. I was like, okay, is this before or after the snap? Is this like the alien invasion? Like, so when it said 2012, I was like, when is this in the timeline? And like going back that far, like, oh shoot, like that's right. That's when they first really became a team. So it opens with Kate Bishop as a kid, obviously like before the aliens invaded New York. It's just like stuff in their home, troubles with finance and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, like their whole like penthouse suite gets like rocked and you see the Chitauri. You don't see much of the fighting other than like Hawkeye's arrows and him like just like beating them up without superpowers. Like I forgot how awesome.
The part you see is well, Kate runs to like a part of their
the wall
flat,
yeah,
where the wall's out,
Mhm.
and there's a Chitauri like motorbike moving towards her, and then you see an arrow and it like hits it and then it like blows it up or dissolves it, and then she sees Hawkeye shot it, and then it cuts to the scene in Avengers where he's like fighting on the rooftop and he only has like one arrow left, and then he jumps off and then he swings into the office building, and so she's kind of inspired from there.
That was the scene too when in Avengers when he shot the no look arrow.
Yeah.
Well, he was up there for a while.
I thought that was the arrow.
Oh,
that,
I don't know if that's
she
the
saw.
same. I wasn't sure if that's the same arrow.
I don't know if that was a no look arrow.
Yeah.
It looked like that's what it would look like.
Okay. But yeah, so throughout all of this, like she's very close with her father and unfortunately loses him during the invasion. So it's just her and her mom moving on, and the mom's like, I'm always going to be here for you, whatever you need. and she's so inspired by how he was fighting that she's like, I have to protect us. Dad's not here anymore. I need a bow and arrow. And through the credits, you see she like wins competitions. She was like, was it
Yeah, I like the credits.
time
Martial artists,
for
gymnastics,
gymnastics, archery.
Yeah.
fencing,
Yeah,
archery.
so she just becomes a very highly skilled athlete.
Singing with Anna Kendrick.
It's perfect too.
Those credits are hella sick though too. I like it.
Hella
'cause
good credits.
It pretty much it already explains her character, so you don't really have to do too much backstory on her because it already goes through it. But then also it's the exact same like art style as the Matt Fraction run, which is pretty much like this story is gonna be like based off of that. And I think he's also
He's a
part of the
executive.
team. Like,
He's an
yeah.
executive producer.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool too because I like that artwork. It was dope.
The
Yeah.
opening credits were better than like most of Zack Snyder movies. The narrative, like no words were spoken. I was still touched. I was like, damn, this is so good.
So she starts martial arts at the age of 5. I think that's around the time of the invasion, how old she was. And it fast forwards to when she's 22. So she's like kind of at the end of her college career, I guess. She's like on the college team, and under a bed, she breaks or tries to break into a building, can't break into it, scales it instead, and is dared to ring the bell with an arrow.
Did you guys notice the name of that that tower?
No, I missed it.
So it was called Stain. Like
Oh,
Obadiah
I
Stane.
did notice that, and I completely forgot about
Yeah.
that. I made a note of it too. I was like, Stain,
Which is
okay.
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because by then he's like,
maybe it was already built before, and they just
Okay.
didn't change the name.
yeah,
Oh,
because
they just
this is after, it takes place after the snap, after people come back from the snap, because we find out later this is after Nat had already made her sacrifice.
and way after the first Iron Man, right? So like
Oh yeah. So I was like,
why
oh,
would it I guess
mean,
they forgot, like you
it's
said.
old money. It takes a while.
Could be an old
Mm.
school. I mean, could have
So-
been around for a while.
Yeah. So anyway, she's dared to shoot down a bell. You see her skill with the bow. She does hit it, but she has to be smarter because it doesn't actually ring. So she like attaches this gizmo that like is basically like a hook. So she shoots the string instead and then rings it and knocks down the whole tower. And that's where you kind of like hear more about like in the beginning when she was a kid, they had financial issues, but they lived in a penthouse suite. And now you see like, oh, her family is like still very, very rich, even though she lost her father. So like her mom has to like pay that off. It's obviously like a high academy like school that she attends and all that stuff. At the same time, Clint is also in New York, but he's with his kids. His wife is back on the farm or ranch, wherever they live. And it's just his time with the kids because like his whole entire family was snapped. They're
Yeah,
all,
that was good scenes.
are they about the same age as when they were snapped, or this is like
No, they're older.
No, they're
much
older.
And I think they're the same actors, except I'm not sure about the smallest kid, but
Yeah.
the eldest two are the same actors from the previous movies.
That's what I thought, because the son, the oldest son, looks way older, but then the daughter looks around the same age. So I wasn't sure that time lapse. But yeah, so they're just doing the tourist thing, like we're gonna do everything together, and he's trying to make up for lost time while they were gone, and he like went on that whole rampage as Ronin.
Wait, isn't this where they have they're watching the play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so they're in New York and they're doing the tourist thing, and one of the things is a whole play about the Avengers, but it's called Rogers.
That's hella funny.
Musical, right?
Rogers the musical, yeah.
Yeah.
So you catch them in the theater, and it's like he's like, I know I don't have to pay attention because I was there. You know who wasn't there? Ant-Man. It's like Ant-Man singing on
Yeah.
There's like this Asian dude, like
Yeah,
getting
there's an Asian dude. Hella
dying.
good.
I was dying.
But I like the
He was,
nuances.
dude.
I like the nuances you hear, because like the daughter's like, did you turn off your hearing aid? And you kind of see the repercussions of like kind of
Hearing
like
aid, yep.
in Batman, where it's like he's with the doctor and it's like all the injuries as like a normal person. He has like hearing loss from all of the different
That's
missions.
in the Fraction run too. That's in the comics.
Yeah.
I think he became deaf. So I feel like eventually he's gonna become deaf. because I think one of the bad guys like stabbed him in the eardrum with like his own arrow or something like that. So that's why he has that hearing aid. But it's cool, and it makes sense why he has it in the MCU. And it was cool that they had the flashbacks and them, so it makes sense.
So and this is the subtle clues of like you find out when exactly this takes place, because when it's Black Widow's like turn on the stage, he kind of like zones out because like he's missing her. Like obviously this is after she sacrificed herself. And it's the
That's
whole
good.
thing about like being a superhero but trying to leave that life behind. Like he keeps getting recognized. He's just trying to have an outing with his kids.
He's in
and
the
all that.
bathroom trying to take a piss.
Yeah. It's like, oh,
Asking
my
for
kids would
autographs.
love a selfie.
Yeah, dude, I'm about to write on next time I go to
Thanos was right.
a bathroom. Yeah, I'm about to just put Thanos was right.
So messed up.
Then put your phone number.
So he's doing all this domestic stuff, like just hanging out with his kids, just trying to like have a good Christmas. This takes place 6 days before Christmas. So while all of this is happening, that's when Kate gets in trouble at school, and she eventually goes to see her mom at the same penthouse where she grew up, same penthouse where her father grew up, and like there's subtle changes. Her mom like was in a like, you know, a stay-at-home mom, like ratty clothes and like, you know, just taking care of the kids, but now she's in a ball gown and there's like super fancy stuff. So they're obviously not having money troubles anymore. And she's getting ready for a charity gala, and she's asking Kate to go with her to make up for paying for all the damages and stuff. But she's like, oh, these petty people want our money or whatever. Like she went from like kind of down to earth to really snobby in the years.
Oh no, that was sarcasm.
Oh, okay. I was like, it rubbed me the wrong way, like just her attitude and stuff.
No, because Kate was like something. Kate was like, "Do we really have to?" And then she was like, "I know, right? Like poor people and nonprofits having to rely on the charity of
Yeah.
rich people." So that was she's being sarcastic.
Okay, I think it was just I was still kind of like not in shock, but like, oh, she's super different from. Well, she's had to be like capable of like being a single mom while losing her husband tragically. But anyway.
And then we see that glorious mustache.
Yeah, so you find out that her mom, someone who she's been seeing, like basically moved in because all of his like knives or like swords, his sword collection is in the apartment. They go to the gala together. And then while she's there, one of the other rich people, Armand, basically tells her that they're engaged. So there's all this like animosity already for this relationship moving too fast. The whole part with the gala is like so not confusing, but it's like, oh, it's all the mystery because like Armand implicates that the wife is or her mom is in like some kind of bad situation. Like I
thought it just implied that she was a gold digger.
Okay. Well, because like so the mom, I think she created her own security firm from the ground up. That's how she got her money. So I couldn't tell if it was like, oh, is it because he's old money and she's like new money, or if it's like, oh, she's a gold digger because
I mean we know that she has the company, but I mean, was it from the ground up? Like so when they're is she part of the whole kind of sketchy rich people scheme?
I wasn't sure. So when later on in the gala, like Kate kind of eavesdrops on them. Armand is talking to her mom, and she said like, I built this from the ground up. Like I think she was referring to the security firm. So I think she created that on her own, like trying to find a living for her and Kate. I thought they were successful enough that she was able to keep the penthouse that they were struggling with before. But at the same time, like Armand and the fiance, what's his name again? The mustache?
Jack.
Yeah.
That's his
Jack
uncle.
Stash.
So all
Nobody's tough as Jack. Nobody's tough.
So Jack
but in the comics, I don't know if you guys kind of know about that character. So I don't know if they're gonna do it different in the MCU, but that guy apparently was one of Hawkeye's mentors.
Oh,
so he was
a sword master,
swordsman.
That's what it was. I've heard of him.
Yeah, so he's kind of like a a villain in a way, but not really like an anti-villain, but not any of the A or B listers or anything like that. But so he was I don't know if they're gonna portray where like he knows Clint already,
Okay.
but they just haven't crossed paths or anything like that.
Okay.
Because obviously, well, later we'll see him, like fence, and he's like hella good at it. So
Yeah. So at the gala, like Kate is already having all these mixed feelings about them being engaged, but she also finds out that they have some kind of black market auction, like simultaneously where the charity is being run. And what they're auctioning is like memorabilia from the Avengers Tower that like was taken.
I didn't think that they had to have that auction underground for that rhino skull. Or that triceratops skull. I'm like, you could have done that upstairs, dude.
Yeah. You don't know where this
Not
came
that dope.
from. It's just a display piece for your home.
that also was in the comics too. Like Kate goes into like an auction with all these rich people and some I think some villains too, but one of the people that is like key in that meeting in the comics was Wilson Fisk.
Oh, we will find more ties to Fisk in episode 2. I'll bring them up.
Like we got the spatula that Wilson Fisk made his omelet with, going at 2 million.
The eggshells. We required the eggshells that used for the omelet.
Yeah, so they have that skull, and then later they auction off Ronin's retractable sword and also his suit.
How'd they get his suit, bro? They just showed him pulling off his mask when he talked to Nat. Did he just get butt naked right there in like Japan?
Well, I thought that all of the Avengers memorabilia was from the tower. Like some kind of destruction happened to the tower and they like got it from
Hawkeye was still wearing a suit though.
Yeah.
We never found out like what he did
with
the suit. Yeah. We just found out that it's cool to clean the sword on the inside of your elbow. I was like, dude, that looks sick. That's all that we found out.
There's other Avengers memorabilia also. So this whole like shady auction is happening, but also another shady thing is happening where the tracksuit gang is trying
Tracksuit Mafia.
Tracksuit Mafia is trying to
tracksuit bro.
That's
accurate to the comic too. Like there's a lot of bros in the comic.
So they're trying to find a specific watch. They eventually find it, and it said something about Avengers Tower. So I'm like,
that's one of my questions for you guys. Is like,
I thought it was Tony
what's
Stark's
the significance?
Well,
okay, that's what I was thinking too.
So we find out later that Tony sold the tower years ago. So I'm wondering, like, does it get security protocol? Like, does that watch like?
I think it was the one in Winter Soldier when he was like this, and then he brings it over his hand, and then he's
that's what I was thinking too. Yeah. But I mean, it could be some type of Stark tech too. But I remember it looks kind of like a Fitbit, the one that Tony Stark did this to.
Yeah.
It didn't look as much of like an old school watch.
You're right. Yeah.
But maybe it's a early edition. I don't know.
Yeah. So basically, this mafia interrupts. They like explode a wall and they interrupt the selling of items because they're trying to look for that watch specifically. We don't really know why. During the like commotion, Jack steals the sword that his uncle had purchased. They were like in a bidding war because he doesn't like his fiance. So he stole that.
Before that, he says something to the effect of like, Armand says, "What are you doing? You don't have $400,000."
Oh, and he's like, "I'm gonna inherit it soon."
Yeah, I'm gonna inherit it soon. And at that point, it's not clear that how they're related until like later, where it's revealed that it's his uncle. So I guess he gets some kind of inheritance when he dies.
You're right, because when he said that statement, I was like, does he mean because he's marrying Kate?
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
Because her security firm's doing well, or is it because they're related in some way? But
that's what my interpretation was too.
Yeah, they're definitely old money because Armand said like, I'm Armand the third and this is Armand the seventh is like a little kid. So they're like old money. So during all of that, Kate, who's masquerading as a waitress, steals the Ronin costume and starts fighting these bad guys, and like is able to let all the people there like escape, and kind of like they the tracksuit mafia recognized Ronan because it's one of the people that like he had pissed off.
One of the things I liked about the fight scene too was like it wasn't a clean fight scene, you know, like
it was very reminiscent of Daredevil, kind of like his first
Yeah.
outing.
yeah,
pretty
and it
rough.
just shows yeah, it's rough, it's inexperienced, even though she has the actual experience like based off competitions. It's still not as refined, you know, and I think that was cool because this is her start. So eventually, you know, with the training of Hawkeye, it'll be hella better. So I think it was a cool way to introduce kind of where she's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end of all this, she like runs out into the street. A dog that she met earlier was like biting the person who found the watch. I don't know if they still have the watch or like what happened after that, but she chases the dog because it's scared, gets him out of the street, and ends up on the news. And then she drops that dog off at her apartment, still wearing the Ronin costume, and then goes to break into Armand's house to find out like what's all the deal with my mom. Like, is he threatening her? Are they getting her into dirty business, or is she already in dirty business? And she finds that he was murdered. While all of this is happening, because she ended up on the news, Hawkeye with his kids, they come back from dinner. And that's where like the waitstaff was like, oh no, this is on us. You saved our city. And he's all humbled. He sees the shot and immediately recognizes Ronin because like the news and even the tracksuit mafia make a point of like, no one knows who Ronin is. They just know that he was like a very extreme vigilante, that when he like caught a bad guy, he killed them. So they said he brought the criminal underworld to its knees while he was operating around the world. So he's able to like, he's like, oh man, like I have to go make things right. Like someone's running around. They don't know how dangerous the suit is. So he leaves his kids at the hotel trying to look for whoever's wearing the suit. This is around the same time that Kate is leaving Armand's place because she's freaking out that she found a dead body and like is kind of in over her head. And the tracksuit mafia find her again, start another fight, and that's when Clint jumps in and saves her.
She was doing fucking beastly in this. Actually, you know what? When she first started in the wine cellar, she was kicking ass, dude. I'm like,
she was, but like she was still getting hit a lot too. Like she was taking some blows,
she was doing way too well for someone who only fights in like organized competitions. She was like
It's
beating
a really
ass with wine bottles,
really strong wine bottle.
fighting like dudes who are 2 times her size. And then in the street, I really like when she grabbed that dude's head and then she did like what is it, like a DDT kind of on
like on top of the car. Yeah, that was sick.
I liked in the wine cellar when she like jumped up and like was wrapped around that guy. It kind of reminded me of Natasha.
Yeah,
yeah.
She did.
So that's one thing. Like so it was like on accident. So she's like, it. Of course, the potential's there, but she tried to flip him, but she couldn't do it because of, I guess, inexperience maybe. And then luckily it all worked out.
She somehow finds a car in New York that's unlocked and hides it in. That's what in and like beats them up and saves her.
And then Jackie Chan is looking down. He's like, people are riding motorcycles on top of cars.
But yeah, Clint's all pissed off because he's like, someone's wearing my suit. He's like, come on, tough guy. And he's about to like knock her out when he pulls the mask off and finds out that it's just a 22-year-old girl. He's like, geez. And then he like takes her somewhere or asks if she has a place to go so that he can like kind of get her medical supplies to like clean her up a little bit and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's second episode already.
Oh yeah. So the first episode ends when he finds out that it's Kate.
Mm-hmm.
Second episode picks up like he's like, oh, we got to get you somewhere safe. They end up at her apartment and he kind of interrogates her of like, where did you find this? What have you done in it? Like, there's no way that someone can connect you to this suit because the suit is really, really bad news. And she was like, no, I just went like, I kept the mask on, like no one saw me, blah, blah, blah. But
and then you just hear, get Bishop.
like, there's something in her apartment too. Not the first one wasn't a Molotov. I think they just threw like a brick or something, and then they started throwing Molotovs. But you find
that
out
scene was sick though. When Clint, he just knew, like he knew that they were gonna throw the Molotov, so he like grabbed it and then threw it back. Dude, that was so good.
That was so dope.
But yeah, so you earlier when she dropped the dog off that she rescued and then went to Armand's, that's when she like, obviously since they were following her, since she interrupted them at the wine cellar, they followed her home. So she's like, oh, and my name is on the buzzer, so like they obviously know that I'm here, they know my name now. So they set fire to her whole apartment. Oh, in the middle, while like Clint catches the thing and throws it back at them, she also gets her bow and arrow and shoots a Molotov in some guy's hand and like explodes their car. But again, showing her inexperience, he's like, oh, stuff is on fire, like I need to get to the suit, but I can't get to it safely. She shoots the with the fire extinguisher, and it just goes like everywhere. So it's like, oh, like she means well, but she's not very like, doesn't.
Yeah, that's the whole inexperienced thing. That's where it comes in, and that's where Hawkeye's gonna fine tune her and like gonna hone those skills, and she'll be hella good.
Yeah. So from here is when they pick up medical supplies. She has an aunt that's like in Florida or something for the winter, so she up there. That's like her bolt hole.
Speaking of the aunt, so that the name of the aunt, was it Moira something? So in the comics, she's an actual character, and it has something to do with Clint. Like I think she's associated with him somehow. But anyway, in the comics, they use her mansion as the base for the West Coast Avengers.
Oh, dope.
Oh, nice.
So that could be a little, Easter egg as to maybe forming that team with some of the young people on the squad.
Nice. So far, we only got Shang-Chi out in the West Coast. He's the only West Coast Avenger, possibly.
Yeah.
True. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, the only other person I can think of is like, he wouldn't be with Young Avengers, but isn't
actually Ant-Man?
Yeah.
Ant-Man is in.
Oh, they're in the city.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
You're right.
I just remembered when you started talking.
But yeah, so I don't know, maybe he'd be like a mentor or something. But oh yeah, so they're at the aunt's place. He tries to recover the suit by masquerading as a fireman while they're putting out the fire. It's already missing. He sees a sticker on the truck that says LARPing, and I was like, oh great, someone stole it.
Oh good. Role models.
I know, that's all I thought of it.
Oh, dumb.
And then so he looks them up on the internet, finds their Instagram, and it's this guy that's like, oh, people talking smack about my new suit. It's not a good suit. And he's like wearing the Ronin suit. And it's like, oh my God, great. Another kid is wearing his suit. So he like makes plans to meet up with Kate again, but he needs to like put his kids on a plane back to their mom. Because he can't be with them, and makes a promise to see them on Christmas Day, which is again 6 days later. So this is going to be like a very short amount of time that all this is taking place.
Oh, and then you can see the littlest kid. He is practicing sign language. So that's another indicator that maybe pretty much by the end of this, maybe he'll actually be fully deaf.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even when he's walking with Kate later in the episode, he specifically walks on one side of her because that's where it's
right.
So yeah, I think he does meet back up with Kate, trying to get more details, like because the suit is missing. She was on the phone. I thought she was on the phone with her mom talking about the black market deal or whatever, or like the shady business. But then when they were talking in the apartment later, it sounded like this is the first the mom was hearing of it. So I was kind of confused.
The mom's sketchy, man.
Yeah.
Something about her. I think she might be she might be not who we think she is.
Yeah. So again, like Kate's like trying to like learn stuff from him. That's her inspiration for like doing everything that she's been learning. Like he's kind of just like, I just want to get this done so I can go back to my kids. Like he's very like kind of done with the superhero business. I think this is when she goes to work and he goes to find the LARPer. They make him, so she works at her mom's security firm, but he has to sign up to LARP in order to talk to the guy in the suit. And LARP is like live action role play. It's all the like medieval stuff, but the guy's dressed as a ninja. So he signs up and he has to like wear the armor and stuff, and he's just so done with it in his face, but the action's
Yeah.
still kind of cool.
But then also it looks like he's kind of into it too. Like at first he's kind of like, fuck, I gotta do all this stuff. Like even the main worker at the reception desk or whatever, she's kind of giving him the runaround, like, you have to sign these forms, you have to do this, blah blah blah, you have to wear stuff like that. And then they were like explaining the rules and stuff, and he's just like, okay, I'll do it just to get the suit. But as the scene goes on, it seems like he's kind of enjoying it. Like he's doing some cool move, like simple moves and stuff.
I like how he was like, goodness. He was like all slowed down.
I like when he was like, all right, here's how it's gonna go. I can take the sword, pretend hit you, and you can give me the suit, or I could punch you and really hit you, or like really hurt you, and then you can give me the suit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He eventually makes his way to the guy who's wearing the full suit. He's like, you're hot.
Grills.
Like it would like, I would get so much street cred if you let me kill you. And he's like, oh, just get it over with. And he leans over to like get
yeah.
Oh, we have to do like a trial by combat. And that's when like, yeah, he does the whole like, I can real hit you. You could really hit the floor and then I'll take the suit. He's like, I'll give you the suit. Just let me kill you.
That character is someone in the comics. His name is Grills.
Yeah, his name's Grills.
Oh,
Yeah, his name's Grills. I don't remember if he doesn't really play that big of a character, I think, in the comics, but it is an actual comic or an actual character. And then I don't know how significant he's going to be in the show, but he does play this one guy that builds like a relationship with Clint.
Okay.
So he might be an ally, he might be a friend, he might be a recurring character maybe in the show.
I thought it was interesting that Girls was like, this is the one time that I'm gonna be a hero, but they said most of the people like
They're like firefighters.
were firefighters and
most, but not all.
Yeah. So, but if he got it from the scene of the fire, he was probably like some kind of firefighter or something. I was like, man, they are heroic. Like
I know, right?
Like Thor. Like, but anyway, they do this whole trial by combat. They're like in the circle. There's this guy that's doing the ting, ting, ting.
That part
was hella funny. Into the long one, he was like,
the long one. Yeah, the long one. The long one.
He didn't drink the potion.
So dumb.
that made me like really want to do LARPing. Like we should do that in real life, dude. That'd be hella fun.
I mean, it'd be hella funny. It was just, I mean, it'd be hella fun, but it was just funny where they're like, the potion, it's a bottle, but it's like an empty hand that she's holding it with. Like,
yeah.
So he's like, what are you doing, man? Like, just kill me already. He was like, no, you got to make it look real. And then finally Girls is like, are you ready? He's like, for the love of God, please kill me. So he dies like a whole thing. And he's like, oh man, this is the best day of my life. And Clint's like, I can't say the same, but you can call me Clint. Like he's good natured about it. Because he made someone's day. And Girls is good about like giving him the suit. Clint eventually goes to like some kind of locker room and just like locks it in like a gym.
Yeah, which I was like, what? Why would you? Yeah, exactly. I was like, what the hell?
I mean, they're not actively looking for the suit They're just trying to find out who's in it. So
yeah.
Now that they think it's Kate, I don't think they're going to be hunting for the suit. He just needs to make sure no one else gets seen in it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he told Kate that like the tracksuit mafia is not the only bad guys that like I crossed. So it's kind of like Shang-Chi's dad, where like he crossed so many bad people that like you never know who's going to come out of the woodwork. And like if you don't know like everything attached to the suit, you can't be prepared for the repercussions of
He's like, I went to Japan. I killed the guy who plays Scorpion in the new Mortal Kombat movie. You cannot be seen in this. Sub-Zero will come for you.
Either that or Tom Cruise will. Wasn't he also in Last Samurai?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
I was like,
okay, cool. The joke landed. It joke landed. All right.
I was stretching all the way back to Last Samurai. But yeah, so that's basically like Clint's able to do all of that. He does check in with his wife. She like obviously knows like what he's doing. She knows his whole backstory as Ronin, even though like
he told her.
He's very upfront with her of like what he was up to while they were gone. And he's like, I think I can resolve this in just one more day. I'm going to do catch and release. And she's like, oh, that's like Nat's
That was cool.
favorite ploy or whatever. So she's just keeping
Should have been him in a black dress, dude.
He's like,
so Black Widow's just a pretty face.
That would have been hella funny. Phil Coulson's gonna call him.
But yeah, so like obviously she was very close with their family. Everyone's missing her as best friend. They named their last son after her, right? Like the middle name was after her. But anyway,
I don't know.
so she knows, and he's just like trying to resolve this. He's like, if I can clear things up with this mafia, at least like hopefully no one else comes out of the woodwork to cause any issues. At the same time, this is when Kate goes, she is at work, confronts her mom, finds out that Jack's in there, and she's kind of like looking for answers to possibly if they're involved with like Armand's murder or something.
Armando.
Sorry. But yeah, it's like the show keeps wanting you to feel sketchy about Jack, but I feel sketchy about him and the mom. Like I think
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Separate sketchiness. Like I don't think they're in something together, but they're definitely not on the up and up.
I don't get this. I didn't get the sketchiness at all from the mom. I think she might be naive. Yeah. I think she might be naive to it all, even though she runs a security firm. So I don't know. I'm not convinced yet.
Again, it kind of reminds me of Sharon Carter, where it's like she had to be kind of cutthroat in order to survive for her and her kid. Like she was basically on her own after the dad passed away.
I think in the comics there's something. She's not like a big ass character, you know, like not something super important, but I think she kind of has some type of sketchy background to her. So I can kind of see it, but at first I didn't really get that impression too, like you were saying, Matt. But like some videos and stuff I was seeing online was saying that like maybe she's not who we think she is.
You guys may have a point though, because the actress Vera Farmiga, she in her recent roles, she's played like someone who's like had like double crossed, like, or conflicted in that sense. So she's kind of been typecast as that kind of person. So we could see it coming.
Oh, I haven't seen her before.
I kind of got it mostly from the like whole confrontation with Armand, because he kept inferring to Kate that like your mom's not on the up and up, but he could just be snobby because he's old money. But then when he confronts her in her office, she kind of was like, what are you talking about? Like like all this, like I don't know, like the way that she was playing off her side of things, and he was like really trying to talk his nephew out of marrying her because she's not good news. Like it sounded like she wasn't taking anything seriously, because she was just like, I don't know, she might be mixed up in some stuff. Anyway, so she tries to like get anything out of Jack, not really getting anything, but she's also very like new, so like I don't know if she's asking the right question. They eventually make plans to go to dinner. She gets Clint's number in case of emergencies, and he said, if you abuse it, then I'll block you. But she like keeps texting him, finally gets a phone call. And it ends up being a detective. She thought it was Clint, and they're asking about like, were you aware that your apartment was on fire? And she's just like very sketchy in her answers. And she makes plans to talk to them in the morning the next day. I think that's
damn. That should have been the detective from Daredevil, though. Brett, that black detective.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
So they eventually go to dinner. This is around the same time that Clint is trying to purposely get caught by the tracksuit mafia. And she's just like kind of grilling Jack about like his penchant for swords, because he was so interested in the Ronin sword and eventually stole it after his uncle bought it because of all that commotion in the wine cellar. And that's where you get his you get to see his skills as a swords master, because like he keeps letting her win and she gets mad, like stop it, like
just
whatever,
downplaying. Yeah,
and then she like does something that a typical person wouldn't expect, and he parries it, and the mom gets all mad, like you could have really hurt him, and he was like, no, it's okay. And she was like, obviously he's a liar, what else is he lying about?
It's a mom. He's clearly Zorro. Just listen to him.
Mustache.
Yeah.
I don't remember if she saw him steal the sword in all that.
No, I don't think she did. She
Okay.
didn't see him.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So he's just like very into swords. You see it displayed everywhere. So that's probably what you're talking about in the comics, how he's very skilled. I think after that, oh, he tries to like make amends and like hands her a candy, and it's the same candy that was at Armand's apartment where it's like monogram.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So she kind of freaks out, goes home, tries to contact Clint, can't find him, uses the technology of their security company with a hella long ass password to like pinpoint his location. She thinks he's in trouble. He's actually like purposefully getting caught because he wants to talk to the mafia's leader. And then she drops in on them and they both get captured. The scene ends when they're like, oh, she wants them both alive, like keeps talking about a her, and it zooms in on this lady in like another room. The music's playing really loud and she's like putting her hand to the speaker because she's like trying to feel the vibrations. And they're like, oh, we caught him. And she turns around and he repeats like, we caught them. And she just signals for them to go. Mar is pretty sure that that's Echo.
It is Echo.
Yeah.
It is Echo.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that would make sense because she's trying to feel the vibrations. And
then he mouths the words very deliberately because she reads lips.
Yeah, he had to wait for her to turn around in order to do that, which I'm really excited for because obviously she's getting her own show.
Which is weird because like she's right now it seems like she's a villain. So I mean, we obviously know that like she's probably gonna end up being more on the hero side, other than because I don't think Disney would give a villain another show other than like Loki, unless they're trying to ride that whole like Loki Agatha.
Yeah, I looked up when they announced the Echo show. I looked her up because Mar like
I already have some background on her. She's hired to fight Daredevil, and then she ends up becoming like reformed, and then when Clint gives up the Ronin alias,
she becomes Ronin.
He gives it to her.
I thought she was Ronin first, and she gave it to him.
No, he was Ronin first, and that's after Cap died. That's why he became Ronin.
Oh. Okay.
Then when Cap comes back, he gives the Ronin outfit to her. And then I forgot what happens. Clint disappears for a while, so he never comes back to claim the suit, and she's kind of just lost as Ronin. So she's kind of deciding like, should I keep being a hero? Like the only reason I took this up was at Hawkeye's request.
Oh.
And I after that, I can't remember what ends up.
So the tie that I was talking about earlier about Kingpin, she's Kingpin's daughter, or raises her as his daughter.
Yeah. Kind of like Gamora and Thanos. It's just like
I forgot about that.
Not the actual daughter, but
yeah, he killed her dad, and the dad's dying wish was like raise her as your child, and he did. Kind of brainwashes her into seeing things his way, and then she romantically involved with Daredevil. He eventually turns her to like the good side, and that's when she becomes Ronin.
God,
so that's
Vincent
that's another sign, dude, that I think he's gonna be up in there because, like we said, related to, I mean, not related, but like stepdaughter or whatever to Kingpin. In the Matt Fraction comic, Kate Bishop was in the auctioneer room, and then Kingpin was like heavily involved in that. So that's another sign. And then also with all the rumors kind of with like Daredevil appearing in the MCU, I think it's all just perfectly laid out for him to come back. Hopefully it's him. I don't know if there's been anything concrete about that. It's actually what's his name? Vincent
D'Onofrio's Kingpin, and then I forgot homeboy's name. That's Daredevil. Charlie Cox.
Yeah. But Echo has a lot of ties to different people. Like there's Kingpin. She has like some kind of tie with Wolverine.
Oh, nice.
Like I never read that deeply into her character.
Well, I just looked up her like biography because I was super curious because I didn't know a lot. And Mars, the one that was like, oh, she's mostly in like Daredevil related content, and he remembered reading some of her runs. So I was like, oh, that means like maybe we'll get Daredevil after all. So I was like kind of looking into it. I totally thought that she was Ronin first because through her connection with Wolverine, she gets into like, I think Japanese culture. I thought that's where she became Ronin and then gave it to Hawkeye. I didn't realize it was the other way around.
Well, that pretty much does it for the episode. Like what are your guys' overall thoughts? What are your some theories, some questions?
I really am waiting for them to bring some kind of Daredevil cameo and Florence Pugh's Black Widow in there. Like, I just
Yeah.
want to see who else might show up because they are in New York. So that kind of opens it up for anyone to drop by who
Yeah.
is already a resident there that isn't dead. So amped just to see who comes through. And for the action. The action so far has been spot on.
Who do you
Mhm.
who do you think bought Avengers Tower?
So my theory is it's Kang. Like if you remember in Loki, there was the Kang Tower. It wasn't spelled Kang, it was Qang.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually, there's a character in the comics with like Kang Industries or something like that, but that is an actual variant of Kang.
Oh,
So
boy.
he's
Mephisto.
I
feel like that's legit, not a Mephisto one.
Because just imagine Mephisto signing the lease. He's like, oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's under. Yes, that's just Mephisto. First month's rent.
So yeah, I think it's Kang. And then there's a hella wild theory I saw about the Watch. So we already talked about like it might be Iron Man's and stuff like that, but there was a run in the comics where Kang goes back into time and he ends up working with the Avengers or something like that because he has to make sure that there's a version of Kang existing in a certain universe. Like it has to do with something like an actual item to start the whole process of him being in the universe. Otherwise, other universes will die or something like that. It's hella weird. But the theory was that the Watch is somehow one of Kang's significant like watches, but the way that his existence comes is because it has to do with Kate Bishop finding the watch, and then so like that's what starts his process of being in the timeline. It's like he had to make sure that they found the watch and something like that. It's super out there, but
that'd be crazy if they linked like a street level show to that level of like the galactic level of threat.
Yeah.
It's like cool. In the animated What If, where the Watcher is like, come on, find it. Like they need to find something to like kickstart the whole. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's pretty much exactly what I was trying to say, is where like little steps need to happen in order for him to be part of it. And then there's another theory that the watch is just sentimental value and it belongs to Kingpin, and the watch was given from Vanessa, because in the show, in the Daredevil show, she gave him like cufflinks. So there's that possible option. So it might not be something of super significance. It's just that maybe
it end up in Avengers Tower though.
See, that's where I was like, well, I don't really get that theory.
Because the tag said Avengers, right? The auctioneer tag, something like that. But
so I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I am wondering because it sounds like Echo, Maya Lopez, I think is her name, is the one running the tracksuit mafia. So she's probably like, maybe this is where they try to do her whole, not redemption arc, but like opening it up to her show later, where she's gonna probably be like a good guy.
Do you think she is like the actual big bad, or do you think she's under someone else?
It can't be her because they already showed her, so it's got to be someone else at the end.
Yeah, probably Kingpin. I'm wondering, well, they're not going to go this far into it, but currently I think in the comics, or as far as Mara has read, she's the one who has the Phoenix powers currently.
Wait, who does? Oh, Echo?
Echo.
What the heck?
The current Phoenix. So
I don't know about that.
Well, I'm wondering,
I don't know about.
They'll allude to that in her show when she gets her run, or they're just going to focus as her as.
No, there's still plenty of they're so behind. Like they just did Civil War recently, so I don't think they're gonna.
Yeah, and they have to like first introduce all the mutants and all that stuff. Like I don't think they're gonna go straight into Phoenix stuff.
Like just every series keeps going straight to Phoenix.
Just have a giant bird doing sign language.
Oh, there was also a theory where the watch is it's either Iron Man's or it's Rhodey's, where like it could potentially lead to the Armor Wars show. So there's that one, which I thought was kind of cool. That one makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, I was wondering, I just did like base level, like if it belonged to Tony, there's a possibility that maybe it's like a way to enter the Avengers Tower, even though he sold it to someone else. So I was like digging too deep, but we'll see. It seemed like it was some kind of significance.
Yeah.
So they released 2 this week. Is it back to just 1 episode the next couple weeks?
I think so. And I think there's only 6, which coincides with the 6 days till Christmas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So each episode is its own day.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is gonna be interesting.
I really hope that at the end of this, after Kate's established herself, I hope that they form the Young Avengers and she doesn't just become an Avenger, like an OG Avenger, even though they kind of disbanded. But yeah, I hope they actually follow through with the Young Avengers, because that would be a cool, like it's like a second generation of that kind of bond.
Well, I was trying to think, like during like Rogers the musical, I was like, that's right, who is still left? Because there's him, Hulk, Thor. That's it.
But all those people are pretty much on their way out.
Yeah, and they're all on their own paths. Like Thor is currently with Guardians.
He's a Guardian now.
Yeah. So
But
interesting.
even like if they form a Young Avengers, there's some that are actually like young, and then there's some that are a lot older. Like Kate, I think she said she's like 22 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's I don't know how old the Ant-Man girl is, but I think she's younger than 22.
She's probably gonna be in her teens.
Yeah. And then not Isaiah Bradley, but the other guy who's gonna be
Elijah
Captain
Bradley.
America's-
Yeah, he
Elijah
was like,
Bradley.
it looked like he was like 15, 16 maybe.
Yeah. So I mean, she might be the leader, I guess, of that group, because she's kind of older.
That would make sense because they're establishing her first. Like, I mean, the other ones appeared in other media, but she's the first one who appears like with her own like vigilante run.
And then Wanda's kids are like kids.
Oh,
Well, I
that's
mean,
right.
I guess they can recast
Mhm.
as older.
I mean, they recasted them like 3 times in 1 episode. They kept aging up.
Yeah.
I hope Kate gets her like pink purplish bodysuit with like the holes like right here in the hips,
Yeah.
like the signature.
I think they both of them are going to be like more in the black and purple type fits. Like
They
towards
are.
the
I
end
saw
of
you.
it.
I saw that. I just hope she gets like her comic book look at some point with like
Mm.
that long bodysuit and that belt. It
Mm.
just is so iconic.
So that does it for this episode of the Maganda Forever podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Vince,
I'm Matt.
And I'm Monica.
and we will see you next week when we cover the next episode of Hawkeye.
Later.
Late.
I'm not Wakandan, but my bionic arm enhanced. Just say the words, I'm activated like a Nazi trance. Catch vibranium into your cranium, wanna glance. Full body cast from a cyclops optic blast. I doubt you crews prepared for this hit. Catch a glimpse of who I'm with, have you scared of the clip? No heart-shaped herbs or any terrigen myths. I'm taking out your ankles on some anti-carrot.